Day 140 of 365 days of meditation. I'm going to try this again. I've been struggling to get this video out the door a little bit this evening. Practice, I got up around 5:30, 5:45. I meditated for about an hour. I went back in to sort of explore the question that popped up at the end of my meditation yesterday, which is one of the questions being, why am I unable to let go of the past, or why do I keep ruminating on past experiences, some of them from a long time ago, like 20 years ago. And what I sort of realized in digging into it was that, there's still a lot of, there's some pain and discomfort, maybe not so much around the experience itself. I've definitely sort of let that go, but there's definitely a bit of a wound in relation to how I treated myself during those times. So during a time in my life where I was struggling mightily with my mental health, and probably needed some assistance and support back then, I was my own worst enemy. I was struggling with my mental health. I looked around. There was no one else around that was inflicting the pain on myself but myself, and I began to really loathe, sort of despise, hate, just build this disgust with myself for the fact that I just couldn't function the way I saw other people functioning. Every day just seemed to be a struggle. And I really beat myself up over that, which was not helpful. So I guess there's, like I said, there's a bit of a wound there still. And so I went back and explored that. And there was some waterworks in the meditation today. Nothing crazy, but a little bit of sadness maybe. And, it's good to go in, dig into these things, pick them up, look at them, and then place them back down in a better place than where you found them at the beginning of the practice. And it's like just another layer of the onion. I think you can kind of keep doing it. There's always more there. Maybe eventually some of the stuff from the past starts to go away, but there's, a never-ending process, I think, to continuously improving one's quality of life and potentially one's mental health. In yesterday's video, Tanya had posted in one of the comments, or posted in the comments, that it was this fine-tuning process. She said fine-tuning every day. And it was interesting because I was thinking that exact thing yesterday and this morning, that it's just sort of this fine-tuning process. I was actually also thinking of it kind of like, for me anyway, the experience of meditation and kind of working on improving my mental health and well-being. It's a lot like, diving into something, just diving into the deep end, I guess. Like learning a new skill, just sort of self-teaching yourself in a lot of ways and figuring it out as you go and making mistakes and trying different techniques. It reminds me a lot of when I started doing mechanical work, and I kind of just self-taught myself and figured it out as I went, more or less. Watched a lot of YouTube videos, tinkered with things, some trial and error, pulled things apart, did it the wrong way, put them back together, had to pull it apart again, just different stuff like that. And this sort of reminds me of the similar process. I'm kind of not pulling things apart necessarily, but tinkering with them and trying to improve them or fix them and making mistakes along the way and not doing it the most efficient way, and kind of learning and improving as I go. Maybe going from, to use the mechanical analogy, from, swapping out broken or defective parts now to the point maybe where I'm just sort of tinkering with things now and fine-tuning them. And I also am starting to realize that, that analogy of, not the analogy, but the thing I noticed about, or heard, and was talking about in relation to people who are maybe a little bit more, again, I don't like the phrase emotionally sensitive, but maybe more emotionally intense. There is benefit to it if applied in the right aspects of your life, in the right scenario. And I do find that if I sort of tune myself optimally, which takes a bit of work, I am quite efficient and operate at a fairly high level. So it's almost like a trade-off in some ways. Like a high-powered sports car, they tend to be notoriously unreliable and always in the shop and always needing maintenance and fixing and tinkering. But when they're on the track and they're well maintained, man, they can fly. And so I guess that's how I'm sort of starting to see myself. I'm definitely not a hyper reliable Honda Civic or Toyota Corolla that you just drive and drive and drive and drive forever. I'm more of a, maybe a high performance German or Italian vehicle that is always in the shop. And if it's not in the shop getting repaired or tinkered with constantly, then things break down and I'm parked, so to speak. So again, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It just means I need to do that daily maintenance, the exercise, all the practices that are good for any human being. But for me, it's they're not necessarily not necessary to optimize my life, but they're necessary just to produce a sort of human being functioning at a minimally viable level. And if I don't do them at all, then I struggle. So there's things like meditation and yoga and eating well and sleeping well and exercise and getting the morning light and kind of all those things that everyone needs and everyone will function better if they get. For me, if I don't do them, I just especially the meditation, I can't function at all. Sleep is another one. I can't function at all. I'm miserable. And I know everyone has that to a degree, but like I said, for myself personally, what I'm realizing is that, I'm just maybe not quite as flexible. Although I think I'm learning to be a bit more as time goes on here. So that is a good thing. I'm a little more resilient, a little more unflappable, a little more the Honda Civic. But definitely, like I said, still need that constant tuning and improvement. Otherwise, I struggle. And I don't know if that will ever change, and maybe it doesn't matter. Kind of a blessing in disguise, because if I know I do all these things that are good for me that seem like they're somewhat required, like I said, I can perform at that supercar level, to use the automotive analogy again. Anyway, that's my rambling for the night. In closing, if you're struggling at all with your mental health, talk to somebody. Don't suffer in silence. There's a lot of things you can start doing to start improving your mental health, start optimizing it. But I know that if you're in the thick of it, from my own experiences, often I didn't feel like doing anything, and it's really hard to get started. And sometimes just reaching out, having a conversation with somebody can be the sort of kickstart you need to get you going in the right direction. And you never know where that conversation will lead, and you never know what it will lead to. And if what you're doing right now isn't working, you might as well try something different. So, yeah, I would encourage you to talk to somebody if you're struggling with your mental health. And, try some of the things that optimize any human's well-being, and who knows, at some point in your journey further down the road, you might stop loathing yourself for being emotionally intense or emotionally sensitive, and start seeing yourself as that potential to be a highly or finely tuned supercar instead. There's trade-offs with everything, and you can either look at it as a negative, or see the positive in it if you so choose. So yeah, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.